All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump on YouTube.
Yeah. Jump on YouTube. Tanya says she can watch the live.
Oh,
So,
good. Okay.
oh, there we go. All right. We're in. We're live. Let's see who is here today as we unpack this. I need to stop singing because I'm not a singer.
Yeah, well, maybe this will be your jingle.
Yeah, like we're live. We're gonna talk about things today.
This
Um,
is official now, everybody.
yeah, it's
Mary Beth is
official.
going to sing our agenda every week.
No, that's how we lose followers.
Hi, Steve. Welcome aboard.
Yay, so we got some people here. But
Hmm.
today we are going
And
to
Justin. Okay,
unpack
I'll stop.
the event is what we're going to do. But I was going to try to get up the video so I can follow along with the chat too. But we'll see. But you guys do a pretty good job at handling it anyway, which I appreciate very much.
I mean, I got a phone right here too. I can look at the chat in the meantime while we're doing this.
Yeah. All right, so let's see here. Steve said he broke off his comment search to be here. Well, that makes us
Oh, thanks. Although I will say it's still pretty hard to find today. I have not found a single place in Ohio yet that has found it. Got
it's
someone in
pretty
New Jersey that sent me a picture, and that
it's
looks
pretty
pretty
low
legitimate.
on the horizon right now still, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Very. It's the same altitude as Venus, which is I think 8 degrees, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So you do have to have a pretty clearish horizon. It's
Yep.
it's full on clouds here, so I didn't even try. That's okay. So anyway, welcome in for our special second edition. We haven't done two did we have we done two of these in 1 week, I think. I don't
Hmm.
know. The sun's
For
been
the last big event.
yeah, sun's been super busy, so it's been giving us lots of material to work with. Literally, lots of material is my joke of the day. Um So we decided to do something fun today. We're going to go over the data and over kind of what happened because this was what is considered a sawtooth event, and these are interesting to suss out of the data, and it's unusual too because of how much power was behind it, and that's not typical of these sawtooth events. But you'll see when we get into it. And then, but first, we're going to do a little bit of show and tell, which will be
Yay.
fun. Because I asked people to on my Facebook page to give me some photos from what they saw because this was a global event, which is even more special. Like everybody saw it. It wasn't under clouds. So we got a little slideshow. So I'm gonna bring that up, and then me and my illustrious partner here will comment on it as we go along. So let's see. All right, I'm gonna share it. Share. Okay. All right. No, go back. I already messed it up.
That was quick. We
Didn't
maintain our reputation as unprofessional.
it
Unprofessional.
didn't take me long. All right. I'm gonna share it. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then yep,
Now I'm
perfect.
gonna hit slideshow. So now we're good. So this is the October 10th to 11 Aurora event, which is exactly what, 6 months from the May 10th event. So
Exactly.
that's kind of fun. Um, this
Two in one
is
year.
Yeah, two in 1 year. This is the second largest of the cycle. Um, the May 10th event still holds that crown, but not by much. If I remember, the DST wasn't that far off.
411 in May compared to I want to say this one hit 370. Ugh.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have the DST in here, so we'll go through it.
I know, but I'm
So
impatient.
anyway, here's a slideshow. The cover image is the one I got from downtown Chicago. Uh, I decided that I was going to throw this event away on a difficult thing, which is photographing the aurora through a Bortle 9 location. And it works. I mean, would I do it again? Probably not. Because after you see an event like this and like knowing what you could be seeing and you can't see it that well,
It hurts.
it hurts a little. It stings. But to be able to see it through, the brightest of brightest light pollution, really does say something to the strength of this event. So there's that. I can check it off the bucket list.
I do want to say it's more funny to me that not only is it a Bortle 9, but then you're shooting into the like deepest part
Yeah,
of the light
I'm
pollution.
shooting right into it, directly into it. Because I noticed most of the people that shot Chicago, because there's been a couple images that surfaced from downtown, but it was shooting over the lake, like you should be doing, like a normal person would do, not shooting directly into the light source itself. But you know, I wanted to get the buildings in there.
Challenge completed.
Yeah.
Never
And
again.
then I brought up Christian's pictures here. That I do say we're gonna give this one to him because he misses these events a lot.
All of them, generally.
So the fact that he got to see these in Central Ohio, where was this? About 20 minutes from your house?
Yeah, 20 minutes north. Well, 20 minutes northeast, really. Not even
Yeah.
that far, but it was shooting into a Bortle 3 sky. So I had a decent look. I had light pollution to my west and to my southeast, but to the north it was fairly clear. But yeah, saw our arc on the right, which was actually visible to the naked eye for the very beginning or the very end of the first substorm when it first got dark, and then the right after the main substorm, it was just right there. And then I don't have a ton of photos up yet, but it was red and greens to the naked eye for at least 15 minutes. Absolutely insane. Unfortunately, I didn't notice all the condensation on my lens, and most of my ladder shots were all like foggy and had these wonderful starbursts on them from the lights. So
That's all right.
win some,
These are
lose some,
cool. Now
but I'll
now
take
you
it.
understand the blood red aurora and how crazy it is to actually see that.
Absolutely insane. Not only that, but then the greens, they were high enough that they were bright. I've never seen greens that bold except for the two other shows I had in Alaska that were naked eye.
Yeah.
So this is now number three of the brightest shows I've had out of 30 or 40 shows I've had
Well, good. And from in your backyard. That's pretty
from
cool.
basically my backyard. Yep. I got to go home within 20 minutes. So nice.
So nice. So nice. Yeah, I didn't mention that it took 2 hours to get to downtown Chicago. That's 22 miles, so that was fun. Anyway, I digress. So this is my friend Sarah who got this really cool Corona, and I know a lot of people got to see the Coronas with this. Um, I thought this was really pretty, so I threw it in there. I mean,
I
it's got
love
all the
red when it's
yeah,
Coronas.
the bright red with the green, and she's in Michigan. A lot of these came out of Michigan, from the thread that I pulled them from. But yeah, it was quite a treat. And then this is my friend Josh, who's in Illinois. He lives up kind of by Rockford, so it's north, kind of like north, like Illinois, Wisconsin border. And then we got Ethan from Illinois too. So there's a lot of the Illinois contingency in here. Got to see these lights. And he did tell me that the car image wasn't edited at all, so that's just straight out of camera. So I imagine he's gonna bring out the northern lights a little bit more on that, but I thought it was neat.
That is
Then
neat.
we have Amy in Washington, our friend Amy that we do a lot of chasing with up in Alaska. So she got this really cool shot of the lighthouse. Then Jacinda, also in Michigan. I really like the reflections in this one. It's quite pretty. Um, I will,
Yeah.
while we go into this, I'll preface this because a lot of people were saying um that this show felt like it wasn't as good as the one on Monday. And I think the reason behind this is because there was actually a good amount of wildfire smoke, which surprised me a little bit because I thought we'd be kind of beyond the wildfire season, but we're not. So if you felt that way, like colors were muted, things were kind of, you know, not what you were thinking.
Meh.
Meh. Yeah, there was actually quite a bit of smoke. I looked at the atmospheric when people started, I heard some talk about it, and I was like, oh wow. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of bit of smoke, or a little bit. So that could be a really good if indicator as to why that was. And I love this one. Oh, not because this is on my never-ending bucket list is to get a Aurora over to Quamanon Falls
Ah,
because this is a southeast facing viewpoint, so it's not easy to do. Yeah, she got it. Audrey got it. Color me jealous. And with the fall colors in there, it's just yeah,
it's a beauty.
it's a
Good
beauty.
shot.
The Butte Clark, I say from the movie that everybody knows.
Christmas
Let's see.
vacation.
That's more Michigan one. Rachel from Michigan. Look, I just love the we had like we had all sorts of things going on. What was it? We had the SAR, what was it, the Proton,
There was
or
I
like
saw
the
like
green
half of
blobs.
Aragda being made, Proton Aurora. Actually, I saw Proton Aurora several times.
Yeah. Like the
Rag
more
or
blobby green.
ours did not see any Steves though.
Yeah, I didn't.
So
I don't remember seeing any Steves. And
not
that's
in
an interesting
photos or
one.
anywhere.
Like we'll have to come back to this too because
In North America, sorry, should
right.
qualify that.
Yeah, there might have been some else, but it's weird because I haven't seen Steve since really the Corona Hole stuff. I guess it's been out a few times with some of those higher energy things we've been having, but it's not quite like it was 2 or 3 years ago. I used to see it all the time. So I don't know. Maybe there's a connection there, maybe there's not. But it's just an interesting observation. And then D. Lee Sullivan, that's Kentucky. So that might be one of our further south ones that we've gotten here. That's really cool. It was just neat to see these different like very south locations. I love this the pano too. And you
Oh,
know me and
nice.
I don't do panos, but this is really nice. South Dakota, Steve Thompson. I just like the whole arc of the rays there. It's just really nice.
That is
Good
pretty.
job. Two thumbs up from the non-pano person.
Not a big Pano person myself.
But
Haven't
I really
tried really.
like this one. And then we got Simone Lindsay from Ontario, Canada, Dale Bowen. I didn't get a location on this one, so there's no location, but I'm assuming it's
Looks
somewhere in the
higher
Midwest
latitude.
because most of the people on my personal page are kind of in the, greater Great Lakes area. So that's my assumption, but could be wrong. But these are really pretty too. It's just so many colors, like the variances in the colors and the reds. Like just it's just cool.
This is the
Speaking of
first time I got
reds,
to see oranges too.
yeah.
Red and
Here.
green mix.
Speaking of more reds, this is Patrick's friend in West Virginia. I forgot to ask him for a name, so I just left it there. Hopefully, he won't get too upset. But yeah, West Virginia, that's really far south. And Jamie in Wisconsin got some really cool, very tall red and pink pillars there. So then we got a few more. Pat Moser, this is another one I didn't get a location on. It's highly pixelated because I for some reason it downloaded like itty bitty, like I don't know, tiny.
Thumbnails.
So I had to scale it up to fill the frame a little bit, unfortunately. But you still get the gist of it. I mean, it was a really, really great Corona. And then Kimberly, also in Michigan, that she said that was in her backyard. So it's always nice when Aurora comes over your backyard, especially in these middle latitudes. So those are all the submissions that we had. It was fun. I like people sharing their stuff. We might have to do more show and
I
tell,
agree, especially for the
especially with
bigger,
these
well, big-ish events. I would say
yeah,
that would
with
make
these
more sense.
biggish events. They're fun. And what we might try to do next time, we didn't have time to do this, was um see if we can match some of these up with the satellite passes. I think Tanya mentioned that because that would be cool. Then you can get the on the ground version and the satellite image. So
I do
anyway,
love the mix then. I'm gonna cut in
uh,
real quick. Margaret wants to know, or at least wants explained what a proton aurora specifically was, which I'm sure probably most of North America saw, but it was a disconnected green blob. It looks like green soup, kind of turquoise. It has no form. It's literally just a diffuse green cloud. Very boring looking, but it often, at least I think 2 or 3 times in North America, you could watch it separate itself from the main band and it would float overhead. So it was pretty cool looking, but it's just a green blob of not the blob, but just a green blob of aurora.
like a green amoeba.
Yeah, pretty much
It's a green
turquoise
amoeba
almost.
in the sky. Yeah, they're kind of neat. So what happened? Well, in case you didn't catch our last stream, it was an X 1.8 flare, and it was darn near center disk, if not center disk. I think it was a little bit skewed to the north. And then
Slightly northwest.
we saw the Type 2 and 4 radio bursts, which is usually indicative of CMEs, followed by the SDO imagery that showed material in different wavelengths, and then LASCO confirmed the Halo CME. So we were all pretty certain we were going to get hit with something. I mean, I always say pretty sure because what happened with that X9 flare was still kind of a mystery. Um, how that arrived, I don't know. It
Or
seemed to have
did or
gotten
didn't. However, I yeah, no idea.
yeah, it
Also, do
seemed
you
to have
remember how fast the Type 2 radio burst was
it
by
was pretty
chance?
fast.
It was
Wasn't it
like
like
5,300 kilometers a second, something close to that.
it
Keeping in
was
mind there's not a direct correlation between that and CME lift speed, but like I've never seen one that fast, and I'm honestly not sure if that was a typo or a mistake, but it said like 5,300 kilometers a
yeah,
second.
I'm wondering if it was like 1500 because that would make
That would make
a
way more
little more
sense.
sense.
Yeah. Especially
But
since the
yeah,
speed of the CME was around them.
yeah, it still, it was fast. Like it was when they did the forecasting, it was what, 2 days basically.
Hmm.
And it really was. It arrived pretty close to the forecast. Um,
4 minutes within the
yeah,
time frame.
which is
So good.
interesting because we talked about the different forecasting models, and because we had those two filament eruptions that well, it was the Met Office, I think, had the slower arrival because of the filaments being there. But apparently those were not an issue.
Irrelevant.
So it arrived basically on its own, just like the other forecasts were saying, and it was pretty darn close to arrival.
So
Um,
props to NASA NOAA especially.
yeah, it was spot on.
I think Moon to
It
Mars also had that
Yeah,
speed.
I think they did too. So they were pretty good about it. It hit G5 briefly, but it was mostly a G4 event, and then it waned off into a G3. But it was elevated stuff for quite some time. So let's go into some of the data here. So this is the solar wind data from it. Um, and you can kind of see where the shock was. If you want to, do you want to point? Hold on.
Yeah, no, I can well, I guess I don't have any pointers or
Yeah.
anything in that
Let,
case for it, but
let me
point
set up.
is, oh, I had a picture for this. I forgot I could have used too. Point is, we started this data, so it basically began checking out the most left-hand side. You had an impulse that was around 1452 UTC. Shock in the sheath was mostly negative BZ, but it oscillated a little bit. We had like -20, -25 for a while. The flux rope hit almost right at 2200 on the dot. And this would have been about 6 p.m. my time, which was the best timing it could have had because it really prompted good substorm for the as soon as it got dark in my area. I mean, I was getting pink pillars at nautical twilight. So that was kind of fun. And then the flux rope that came through, it was definitely the core of the CME. We're certain of that. Flux rope, not so clear. It was a fairly constant field. As we see, obviously, it was negative BZ for the entirety of the whole core. But BY also was constantly negative. So the field was directed primarily southwest and really didn't deviate much from that for the entire thing until we start seeing the jiggles at the end where the IMF strength dropped significantly. Tanya and I did come up with an interesting idea, although she brought it up mostly, but we thought the solar wind or the coronal hole that opened up after the CME might have chased that part of it and affected the end of it in some way so that it was a bit more compressed. So then at the end would have fallen off as quickly as it did. But that's just the idea that we have. So that's also why we think the solar wind speed stayed as high as it did. But the point is, we had a negative BZ for like 18 hours, and then it finally ended roughly in the afternoon the next day for us. So a repeat show in the evening was out of the question.
Yeah, but definitely
Look at that, negative 45
minus
BZ,
45.
which is just shy of what we saw with the May 10th storms.
Yeah, that was intense. But yeah, like you said, it's just weird because usually you can suss out a flux rope, and this
I
is
got
just
nothing on that
kind
one.
of
I even checked out the BX component as well. It was very near zero, and then it slowly increased as time went on.
so.
Again, no idea. Not a clue. Maybe Tamitha or someone smarter has better ideas.
But for us, yeah. But it still gave us a good show, so we're like, whatever, it's
I'm
fine.
not complaining. Yeah,
Yeah,
not at all.
let it be. It's good. Oh yeah,
And the
this is
next one,
just yeah.
we had to make these two different pictures because the scale was so different from 40 nano to actually went to 60 on the previous one to then 15. You couldn't tell what was going on over the last 24 hours. So this is the next day. For anyone else that was out last night, it was more than likely a dead CME or dead Aurora until literally early in the morning, about 5, 6 a.m. There was a fairly big substorm, which would have been the most right-hand side negative BZ.
Oh,
So it would have went like almost near the end, really.
okay. Yeah, over here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which wasn't that much. What, -5 for
Yeah.
1 hour and then a little bit less and then about -5 again. And we had a giant substorm. I mean, it probably would have been seen here briefly, even.
Yeah,
Um,
and I get it's mostly because like the magnetosphere just hasn't had a chance to really recover. So any little blip just like
it
pushes
just
it.
blew up. And even went up to G1 storming for a couple different periods
Yeah.
just from that, which
So
is
it's
not a common reaction for that data.
pretty crazy to see. But for the most part, the bulk of the CME was over and done with. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was the end of that. Anyway, so let's look at DST. So this is the disturbed storm time index. I always have to
Oh
like
no.
I have to
I
think about
gave the
what
one
DSLR is.
before
But
the picture is the one before the last night.
yeah.
Oops.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. So like it doesn't show the disturbance last night.
Oh, that's okay. It shows the main one, which
Yeah,
is the
that's all
one
we're
we
looking
wanted to
for.
show. What was that minus like
So
three?
it's 335.
Yeah, 335. It's significant. It didn't beat May, but it's significant. And then I pulled the HP 30 index, because the HP 30 index is a 30-minute K, or lack of better terms, KP, cadence, like, so it's a higher cadence, but it's it's HP because it's a different scale, different than the KP, however they measure that.
I'm
But
assuming they're doing, oh, I wonder if that's the H. I'm just kind of theorizing here, but maybe it's the H index they're looking at, or
yeah,
the H component
I,
on the
that's
magnetometers.
that's what I'm thinking. I'd have to look it up again, but I'm thinking that's what it is, because that's how we get all this stuff anyways, the H
Yeah.
component. So yeah, but I the
But look at that, 9 and 10.
yeah, 9 and 10. So this is their G5 up here.
And then it looks like it hit 9 briefly after that too.
Yep. So there's a couple periods, but
But it
mostly
averaged out to
four.
just below.
So this was, and it's for quite some time it went on. Yeah, it's fun to see. Let's see more. And then we can look at the old AE index. This,
Which is no good at this point, but it's
yeah,
funny to look at.
yeah, AE index. We like to use AE index just for, regular kind of storm, quieter time, substorm chasing, because you can see it pretty well in this. It gets overwhelmed very easily when you have a big geomagnetic storm. As you can see here, it's off the scale. And I believe in Glendale it was like minus 4,000, like 4,300
It was like
nanotesla or
just
something.
below it. Yeah.
Yeah, at one point. So it just goes off the chart, and you can't really make heads or tails of what's going on here. But you can see where the significant periods were. So with the times where you got those really crazy pictures that everybody was, all the reds and were just flared up like crazy, where I could see it naked eye in Chicago, was these definitely big flares, big substorms instead of the little ones. So speaking of substorm strength, there it is, minus 4,000 right there.
And I'm pretty sure it went deeper than that. So I think
I
that
I think
probably
it
spikes a little
did.
bit lower.
I think it did. And you can see a couple other periods. There was minus 20, what was this, 2,600, 2,300, 2,300. And then this was the one that happened right around dawn our time, where it was getting light again. We had another pretty big one. Um, as you can see there. But yeah, this is it was it was an active evening.
That it was.
All right. So this is where we're going to talk about Sawtooth Event. So what this was, it's like a steady magnetospheric convection on steroids. It's basically that's what we decided to land on, because it kind of acts a little similar in that your input and output is basically the same. So when you get that steady magnetospheric convection, you just get that green band that just kind of sits there, and it's kind of boring, and it doesn't do anything until the bucket tips and you get a substorm out of it. Well, this is similar, except that it has a driver behind it, like a CME, which we had. What makes it interesting, though, is the paper on this states that sawtooth events happen, I think it's around 10 to minus 20 in the BZ range. This was minus
Not
45.
extremes.
So it was quite extreme, and in the theory this shouldn't have happened, but it did. And because the main reason behind that is because we had a consistent southern BZ, like, for 18
Flat.
hours. It was flat. And that's what your drivers are behind SMC and the sawtooth events, is if you have a flat line negative BZ that just goes on and 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 on. It just is this steady convection state, but it will tip. It's like, you fill the bucket, it just tips and it's just going to explode for a little bit. And that's exactly what happened. What's fun about sawtooth events is that it happens on almost regular 3-hour intervals. And you can see it in the data here, these different, um, these different commencements. They're almost 3 hours apart.
We
Like
went to
2, 3, 4.
another five-ish, almost four.
Yeah, like they're almost exactly 3 hours apart all these different
plus or minus a few minutes here or there, but
commencements here. So it's almost like you could predict it. I say that lightly because, prediction in Aurora is like kind of hard to do. But, if you're sitting there and you can look at the data, you know that this is happening and you just saw a substorm happen, then you could be like, well, I got a couple hours so I can go somewhere else while it's doing its thing, while it's like subsided a bit. Um, because in about a couple 3 hours it'll pop up again. The other thing to note though is these substorms from these types of events tend to be quite short. They're intense, but they're short. I think most of these were 20 minutes at most
yeah,
before they subsided
unfortunately.
back. So you have to be ready for them. Like you have a couple hours to prepare, but then you have to be ready for them. So anyway, interesting note though, this is the second Sawtooth event that we saw this week. Monday was also a Sawtooth event.
Which is great because I was able to predict the couple substorms that I caught in Ohio or in my backyard because of that.
Yeah, because of the Sawtooth thing. So, it's definitely interesting. And then you can actually see the t Sawtooth event really well in the GOES mag data too. Right here, 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 here. It
Yeah, love that.
and because people in science like to name things descriptively, what does that look like? Oh, a sawtooth.
Now, I will say Sawtooth is also, well, it's exactly that shape, but it's basically any data that takes on that shape, yeah, it's called a
Yeah, it's
sawtooth.
like
So then, but it
sawtooth.
does actually look like a sawtooth
So
because
sawtooth.
scientists are very original.
Hey, it's descriptive. It's to the point. So the other thing to kind of note here is these little squiggles that happen. So if you when I noticed on Monday, because I couldn't see things very well in Chicago for this one, but up in Copper Harbor because it was a lot darker, you see the big green band and it's up higher, but you'll see these like it kind of bubbles a little bit. Like you'll get a pillar here and there, and that's these little oscillations that happen until it jumps up and then let's go. So it's kind of neat to be able to correlate this data with what's actually visually going on. But yeah, Sawtooth event. It's fun. I
Not
think
only
that was
that, but
my
then
last
just
slide.
especially when you don't get very many experiences. So, you're stuck with like me in the low latitudes, don't get to travel very much. You're kind of stuck not really getting to see ever the visual data, whereas you just look at the actual data. So being able to correlate, this is an SMC band and it's moving some and then it's growing and it's such a cool experience.
Very cool.
It
It's
was
really cool
nice.
when you can start recognizing these magnospheric conditions in the solar wind data, and then you can, plan accordingly, sort of. I mean, I always want to be careful with that because, yeah, I mean, we've been burned a couple times.
Also, Kirk says that the official lowest reading in Glendale was 4265. Yeah, it's just
4265. Yeah. Thanks, Kirk. He's my data guy too.
it's nice to have you on board, Kirk.
Yeah, he's fun. Maybe one day I'll make it out to Oregon again and go visit Kirk, right outside of Nightscaper. We'll see if he responds to that. But anyway, that's kind of what we had for today. Just kind of a little overview. I actually, I do have. Let me see if I can bring up a picture because I'll bring up the one from Copper Harbor.
He's still here.
Okay. Hi, Kirk. Did you get the comment yet, Kirk? No, yeah, you did. Did you get it again? I guess I
He
should
said,
ask.
or he can go to Copper Harbor.
Yeah, come to Copper Harbor. Come here. I'll show you around. I know where all the good spots are. All right, let me bring up because I actually did a pano. I have to show off the fact that
You did a pano?
I did
What?
a pano and I don't do panos, so I will share it. All right. So this is Monday, October 8th. And this was the Sawtooth event there. I believe this was the second outburst. No, wait. No, it was still the first. It was kind of going into recovery. This was a really big outburst though. It's got the SAR arc in here, off to the right. And then this is the main band over here. So your subauroral stuff is always going to be off of the main band because I noticed a lot of people were posting questions about that with like Steve's, like, is this a
Oh,
Steve?
so many of them.
Because there were some really big pillars, like really prominent pillars that happened, but subauroral stuff is subauroral. So it'll always be separated from the main band. So if you see something like this SAR arc, it's away from this main band, then you have something to look at. But yeah, so there's my panel. This was the Monday. It was a busy week. Busy week. Um, but it was
The Aurora
fun.
really did give us a break.
I'm feeling a little better today. I got a pretty good night's sleep, so I'm a little bit more alive today, in case you couldn't tell. But yeah.
You are a little more lively than the last one.
Oh, so Margaret says she has a screenshot of 4,500. Uh-oh. 45. I'm trying to read that. There's like a heart in a way on
Yeah,
my
it's
phone.
45.8. So
45.8.
4580, I assume
Okay.
is what she means.
Oh. I guess we'll
I
have
mean,
to.
regardless, it's below 4,000. At this point, that's kind of unheard of for me, at least. I've never seen a lower value.
No, I kind of wish I was following along more in May to see what that was.
Oh, I'm sure someone has that value.
Somebody's
I
got to
wasn't.
have it. We should do an inquiry to see
Andy, if you're watching, we're curious.
yeah. What was the lowest substorm strength of May? Inquiring minds want to know. Does Steve Pickett always appear in the same direction of the sky? It's east to west, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it feels
So
that
it'll
way.
be east to west at least showing up, but then as far as how high it stretches, just depends on your latitude. So if you're overhead in, let's say, Minnesota central, then in my area it's going to be a little further to the north, but it will still go to the east and west ends.
Correct. And it's always suborbital. So yeah, so a lot of times these big events, you might not see it because it's pushed further south, which is one of my theories right now as to why we're not seeing it.
Super
Maybe. I don't know.
substorm. Yes, thanks, Tanya.
Yeah, super substorm. Yeah, we were going to talk about that because this was considered a super substorm, which the May event was, which is
Also, BZ did hit minus 47, Amy, just so you know. It was the very first moment that the core hit. So we had literally 100% of the IMF strength went into negative BZ.
all of it, all the available strength.
Yep. All south IMF. That's what I like to hear.
That was like you look at the app and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it would revitalize me for sure. I was really tired that day and hadn't also slept just from the data watching. And I'm like, I'm not even sure I'm going to go out. It was minus 25. And then it dropped all the way. And I'm like, all right, I'm revitalized. Let's
You're
go.
like, time to go, time to put stuff in the car. Let's
Yep.
do this.
Barely had last second. Found a new random place. Drove in the country for 15 minutes just trying to find a random place to pull over and worked out pretty well.
Well, that's good. It was fun. Anyway, so that's our show for the day. We went about a half hour, so it's nice. It's a little bit shorter and sweeter. But we wanted to do a recap because it was such a cool event, and I'm glad that literally everybody got to see it, unless you were under clouds, which it seemed like there wasn't too
I
many.
don't think I don't think I saw many people that were. All of the Aurora Chasers I know at least had some sort of images.
Yeah, so that's pretty significant in and of itself too. I think that there was one person that commented from Germany that he had clouds. Um, but for the most part
There
it
were a
was
lot
a
of
pretty
cams in Germany
clear,
that going off.
yeah,
Oof.
pretty clear skies for everybody. So that was pretty awesome. But we're officially what, in the declining phase of Solar Max? Solar Max was what,
Yep.
August? I think that was the
Not in the terms of sunspot, I'm sure, and sunspot numbers.
yeah.
We're still the smooth numbers still going up, but oh yeah, we're max will be smooth probably anywhere between September and July of this year.
Yeah, so there will be more. So get your sleep.
Good luck, everyone, trying to
Yeah, good
sleep.
luck out there. I don't know how I barely survived this week. Oh man.
Well, any other questions or comments before we go? We'll
Yeah,
give the
before we
video a
call
chance
this a
to catch
day.
up, but looks like Kirk had clouds at Mount Hood for a bit, but
Oh,
didn't.
but then it cleared out for a while. So that's good.
Still doesn't count as clouds then. So
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear. But yeah. Anyway, so what are we doing next week? Have we decided?
No, we never decide until like a couple days before anyway.
That's true. So we'll talk. We
We have
started a
our
new
previous subjects we could go.
yeah. Yeah, where we started, going back to like topics of interest that we tried to get to and we've been
And then the
derailed.
sun's like, no.
Yeah, sounds like no. I'm busy. Now you're busy. Deal with it. We did
Yeah,
start
I'm
a
hoping March will
Facebook
be banger
page.
too, Amy.
What's that?
Oh, yes. Amy said hopefully March will be awesome in Fairbanks,
Yeah,
which I am
hopefully.
also hoping.
Me too, because I'll be up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started a new Facebook page for our little podcast, our little video podcast. Just trying to organize things a little bit more, centrally located stuff. So if you want, hop over there, follow it, give us suggestions, whatever you want to hear. If you have questions that you want answered or researched or whatever, let us know because we will cover it.
Yes. And there's no shortage of questions we know, so don't hold back. As long as
Yes,
it's space
do
weather
not hold
related.
back. I know sometimes I have a hard time answering some of them because of lack of sleep, but I will get back to them. I promise.
Well, we've got our executive producer to help us with answers too if we're both out of it for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
we do. She's a great asset to have.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave you
Thanks,
all be.
Tanya.
So, okay, I think that's it. So
That
anyway,
looks good to me.
have a good night, everybody, and we will see you
So long,
next week.
everyone.